Welcome to the Armani Talks YouTube channel. I'm your host, Armani Talks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills to help you improve your power behind your words. In this episode, I'm going to be introducing an innovative concept known as the Articulation Chamber. Don't bother Googling this anywhere else because this is something that I've invented and it's something that is extremely potent to make you a better communicator. In this video, I'm going to be discussing a few different topics which are going to delve into 1. What are some of the traits of an articulate communicator? 2. What is the articulation chamber and why is it important to incorporate this into your lifestyle? And 3. I'm going to give you a potential way to set up your own chamber. And this is just a sample, an idea from my end. The reason that I say that this is simply a sample and an idea is because I want you to use your own imagination. I want you to create your own articulation chamber however you desire, because ultimately there's one simple intention: to become more articulate. So if you're ready to improve your speaking skills, go on and drop that like for me right on below and let's get started. A couple of months back, I created a video called How to Be More Articulate. And in this video, I broke it down into simplicity. All articulate communicators have one thing in common. They put the idea in front of themselves. And what this looks like in practice is where this speaker is capable of temporarily putting themselves to the side, all of their setbacks. Let's say this speaker has an accent, mumbles a lot, is ugly, doesn't have fashion sense. All this stuff, which is normally a problem, is temporarily pushed to number 2. It's the idea which is the most important. Once we can understand the idea and build enough competence to be able to articulate it, that's when we focus on our setbacks. You want to know something? A lot of people do the exact opposite. They completely ignore the idea and they start to focus on themselves a lot. Oh no, I mumble. My voice is soft. I don't have good fashion sense. What if the audience doesn't like me? And what this does is that it makes the entire communication chance an opportunity for an ego fest. Now, this is something that we're normally geared towards. The ego does not like to put anything in front of itself, especially an ambiguous concept like an idea. So this is something that you, the upcoming articulate speaker, needs to consistently train. You got to keep practicing and practicing and practicing, articulating more ideas, so eventually the transition takes place where the idea is placed in front of you. That's when you build confidence and build a clarification muscle, which allows you to address a lot of your setbacks with poise rather than fear. Now, at this stage in the video, you may be like, all right, Armani, I want to do something like that. I don't have any problem being number 2 to my idea. But there's only a problem. I don't have any ideas. You're like a lot of people out there. The unfortunate truth is that a lot of people don't have their ideas. Let's say you're a politician. You get your talking points delivered to you for the most part by your campaign. Let's say you're a brand ambassador for a certain brand. This brand tells you exactly what you gotta say. Let's say you're an employee that's working on a certain system. This system tells you exactly what you have to say. For a lot of different people, ideas are presented to them, but if you're watching this video, you gotta put in the hard work. You gotta take the active measure of clarifying and creating your ideas, and that's where the articulation chamber comes in. The articulation chamber is a segment of wherever you live that you segment out strictly for articulating your ideas. And if you're curious about what it looks like, this is my articulation chamber right here. Very simple, where I have a camera, I have a light, and that's all I really need. And this lapel mic as well, which is a segment of my living area that I can consistently articulate ideas in. When you have this certain spot where you can just go all the time to strictly articulate ideas, what happens is that you start to systematize the process of clarifying your thoughts. Because that's all an idea is. It's thoughts structured in a unique way in order to make a point. The more that you keep making points, the better that you get in terms of creativity. So that's the first thing I want you to understand. The articulation chamber is strictly a spot that you go in order to become more articulate, just like you go to the gym in order to become stronger. Now, this is how it's going to feel like. You ever been fishing before? Back in West Palm Beach, in my backyard, I used to have this pond. And I would spend a lot of my time in that pond trying to fish. As I was trying to fish, I noticed that it would take a lot of hours for me to see certain success. I would wait hours and hours and hours just waiting with my fishing pole and the reel in the water. Eventually, after a couple of hours, I would get a little pull. I would pull back. I would get a stronger pull. I pull back harder. And eventually, as I start reeling in, 2 to 3 hours later, I was finally able to catch a fish. Simply catching that fish was able to undo all the hours that I waited for that fish. That was the joy that I felt. And that's the joy that you will feel when you catch your idea. But the way that the articulation chamber is different from fishing is that fishing is a very passive process. Now, if you're a pro fisherman, you'll be like, it's not passive at all. You could do this, this, and this to make sure that you always catch a fish and you're not waiting hours. But let's just assume that you're a newbie fisherman. For the most part, you're sitting back and waiting. That is not the attitude that you have for the articulation chamber. For this, it's highly active. You are going in with the intention to come out with at least one idea, and you're going to be active. You're going to be searching, you're going to be brainstorming for that one idea, whatever that idea may be. If you have no clue how to brainstorm, I'm going to link my video that I did in the info card and in the description box right on below. A few strategies is when you mumble. When you mumble out different topics which seem interesting to you, what you're capable of doing is you're not committing to anything. You're just like, basketball, no. Sports, no. Fishing, no. Speaking, no. And you're just kind of mumbling out different topics without judgment, looking for something that you can expand more on. Other times, you can get two completely different topics and try to mash them together. Other times, you just create a certain pressure situation for yourself, and you have to force yourself to think of anything and just articulate that. But you just want to find at least one idea. You may be in the chamber for 2 hours sometimes. You may be there for 2 minutes sometimes. But you want to keep setting that intention to actively get that one idea, and you get it. You don't leave until you get it. And luckily, you get that joyful pleasure when I used to go fishing, where I would wait for hours, and then when I would finally catch it, everything felt good. All the effort was worth it. Now, with that being said, how can you create your own personal articulation chamber? Is there a sample you could give me, Armani? Yes. Here's a sample that I want to give you. Think about investing in a camera if you can. If you want to use your phone, you could always do that. But if you truly want to commit to something and you want to be long-term with this chamber, I recommend investing in a high-quality camera. It doesn't have to be the camera that I'm using, which is roughly around $700. It could be a different kind of camera, but just the mere act of you buying the camera and you putting money into it is subconsciously associating the money that you're putting in for the camera with the value that you're putting into your speaking skills. But let's say you're broke. You could use your phone, and you could use a microphone in your phone. Once you do that, I want you to start a YouTube channel, but more specifically, start a private YouTube channel. This is one of those channels where you're not making each video public, which is something that you could easily do. I'm not going to explain it too much in this episode. You could just Google that. The reason that I'm telling you to make it private is because you start to feel more free. You start to build a comfort in your articulation chamber for the first couple of weeks to the first couple of months. And the beautiful thing about making videos private on YouTube is that you could always make it public later on, and you could give the link to other people even when it is private. So there's a lot of beauty regarding that. When you have a private YouTube channel, there's a lot of different wins you get. You get to keep on clarifying your ideas, and you're starting to see yourself evolve in real time. That's another thing, where you're starting to gradually see your improvement of how you're being more clarified. You're starting to work on your body language, and you're starting to understand your tonality. These are 4 benefits right here. And this is just my sample idea of creating a private channel. My channel here is public, but every now and then I have some private videos that I don't post that are strictly for me. Always watch your content back, because that's what allows you to keep on putting the idea in front of yourself. Idea in front of yourself. And since you made it this far, I'm going to give you one final tip. As you understand the value of an articulation chamber, you took some time to build a personal one in your living facility, you created your private YouTube channel, you've been watching the videos back on regular speed. Every now and then, I want you to watch the video back on 2 times the speed. When you watch a video back on 2 times the speed, what happens is that you stop focusing so much on the body language and you're strictly focusing on the ideas. And as you're watching it on 2 times the speed versus 1 times the speed, it's a completely different experience. I recommend you don't always watch it on 2 times the speed, because otherwise you're not gonna get a good feel for your body language. But every now and then, this is a cheat code. Watch it on 2 times the speed and things start to change. You start to notice the big ideas much faster. So we covered a lot of different topics in this video. Let me just give you a quick little summary. The articulate speaker, for the most part, always puts their idea ahead of them. And by doing that, they're able to clarify that idea and deliver it with more power. But the unfortunate truth is that in order to do something like this, to put the idea in front of ourselves, we gotta practice. And if we wanna practice, we need to have ideas in the first place. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, we don't have ideas. Fortunately for a lot of us, that's where the articulation chamber comes in. This is a segment of our house that we block out strictly to clarify and bring out our ideas. Every single time that we enter the articulation chamber, our goal is to come out with at least 1 idea. We don't leave until we get that 1 idea. What we're doing at this point is that we're systematizing the process of articulation rather than just hoping that we become a better speaker. In order to create this chamber, a suggestion that I gave was that you invest in the tools. You put your money down so your subconscious mind is capable of assigning value to your speaking skills. Invest in a nice camera. Invest in a nice lapel mic. Every now and then, dress up when you enter this chamber. Assign value to your speaking skills. And then I said that in order for you to even have more clarity, create your own private YouTube channel. You don't need to make it public right now because you're still building a comfort with this chamber. Once you build the comfort, you could always make it public later on if you want. If your videos are that valuable, which I guarantee you it will be over time if you stick with the process, go on, make it public. And that's the articulation chamber in a nutshell. Just like we go to the gym to work on our muscles, we gotta go somewhere to work on our speaking skills, our clarification muscle. Why not this chamber? If you learned a thing or two that you didn't know before, be sure to drop that like and also share this video on your social media of choice. Thank you for joining the Armani Talks YouTube channel, and I will catch you on the next episode.